Good night, traders. It is Sunday, November 7th, 2021, 7:22 p.m. I'm here in Kandy, Sri Lanka, and this is your weekly breakdown. I want to get started with Gbpusd, go over my macro outlook for the week, and then go into what I suspect on market open Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. So right now, the week ended on Friday with Gbpusd dropping down to weekly lows and then pulling back up in about 80, 90 pips. You guys see there. So it was a drop, pullback, call this a range bound day. So what does that tell us about the outlook of this pair? Well, it went into a range, but the thing is, it never closed above the range. I would like to see price close above the range to see it continue on up. So this move right here, with the magnitude that it came down, it should have continued. But as you guys can see, it had a very strong pullback, almost canceling the downtrend. You guys see there's almost a new uptrend that's about to be formed. So why did this stop, and where do I suspect it to continue on from here? I do believe that we're going to go into a brand new bear trend, and I have fundamental news to back that up as well. Get into that in a moment. But I want to explain my positions I currently have right now and explain what I'm going to do upon Sunday market open. So Friday came. I don't recommend anyone trading on Fridays. They're trap days. Literally what happened to my positions. I had a short entry, or not short, I had a buy entry. When I saw price going down, I had my buy stop entry above. It did not trigger that for the day. So I figured I can get an earlier entry to get into and scale into my buy stop. So that's exactly what I did on over here. So my buy got triggered, and I suspect it to continue going up. That was Friday's move. If the market did not close above the daily highs on Friday, I was going to close out of my trades. Due to the fact that I'm in Sri Lanka, the time zones are different, and I unfortunately did not make it to my charts in time to close out of this position on Friday, and so it's carrying over the weekend. So on Sunday, I look to close out of this buy and reverse my bias towards the downside because I was only bullish for the short term. If price did respect certain regions, then I would continue bullish, but unfortunately that didn't happen. So let's get back into the macro. The macro, we can see that price is going down. It's trending down. Now we look at the daily. Price is trending down. It looks like it just tested the lows of October. So it tested October lows, as you guys see right here, October 1st. And it's currently in that bar, in the range of that bar. You guys see right here, the bar of October 1st. And then you look over to the left, we see a bearish engulfing candle engulfing 1, 2, 3, 4 of the previous days. So that's a very, very strong signal. And then following that bearish engulfing candle, we have a hammer. So it could go one of two directions, and this is what I broke down on Friday. I explained that it was going to either trigger my buy stop and continue on up, or it's going to drive down, close. I would like to see it close below September lows, preferably to see a continuation to the downside, and that's what I was waiting for. So I just broke down the entire scenario and why I have my buys in and my buys. So now that we have a weekly close that is a very strong bearish engulfing, or it's a bearish Maribozo, I apologize for that, following an inverted hammer, which gives us the shooting star formation, we can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. This entire year, price has been trending down on Gbpusd since January. Slow but sure downtrend. So what has happened as of recently? There was a structure break, and it's signaling a continuation towards the downside. 1.339 would be the first target. and the second target would be about 1.288. Now we are not at the second target. We hit the first target, and that first target was hit back in September, as you guys can see. It hit the first target and it bounced off, and it went into a small short bull rally for a few weeks. And then that bull rally failed. Failure of that bull rally, it closed below the lows this previous week, indicating a large bearish drive to the downside. That's what I suspect, about 700 pips. So this is going to be a long-term setup that I do suspect price to happen. Maybe we have resurfacing news of COVID-19 or COVID-20, 21, COVID-50, I don't know. But there might be some news resurfacing. You guys have been warned in the past about winter is coming from numerous governments and media outlets saying winter's coming. It's going to be the worst winter in a while because of the pandemic and whatever. So this is something that we definitely will have to wait and see fundamentally. But technically, I'm already positioning myself to take it down. Now, that's all I have to explain on the weekly chart. And I want to get into the intraday setup so I can show you guys exactly what I see going into Sunday open. So as of right now, we see prices definitely in a range since the 4th of November. And then, like I explained, this is just in more detail. It dropped, pulled back. Okay, so if I was a seller in this area that wanted to short this range, I would have definitely sold it anywhere down here. And yes, you know, profit target would have probably been farther, and stop loss would have been higher above, of course. So we are now in panic mode if you're a retail seller, because you just don't really know what's going to happen. It's either going to continue going on up and stopping out your stops, or it's going to reverse from here and continue on down. But if it continues on up, there's no other resistance for a while. So that's when I go out to the 4-hour time frame and show you all what I was explaining in a 30-minute that we couldn't see. So now there's a huge drive back to the upside for at least 85 pips. So if I'm going to buy right now, I would buy it for about the next 85 pips, take partial profit. You guys see where my buy stop is lingering on way up there. That's probably going to be the next area I would enter a buy stop, scale in. I would then bring my stop loss a lot lower. This stop loss wouldn't be this low, by the way. That's 120 pip stop, so I have to modify that. But this was basically for the move on Friday. That's why I have this setup set. But unfortunately, Friday didn't close bullish, and it didn't even trigger my buy stop. So I'm going to close this out in profit when the market opens, because I do suspect it to go in profit. Why? If you look at right now, it's a very strong bullish trend. There's no sign of a downside yet. And there was news over the weekend. Now, you see, it's going to go up, stop out these sellers right here, induce the market that it's going to go long. It's going to then hit, maybe trigger my buy stop, but I don't think it's going to trigger my buy stop. The most I think is probably going to move maybe like 25 to 30 pips high, but I don't think it's going to trigger my buy stop. I'm going to delete this anyways on. And pretty much, let's see, this current buy, like I said, I'm going to close this out on Sunday. So it's either going to gap up, gap down. Either way, I'm going to close it out on Sunday. That's literally what I'm going to do. Now this, I don't think this is going to get triggered. Maybe Sunday it might actually open up bearish, because like I said, the market failed to close above Friday's highs. So we could see a potential drive to the downside, and it could probably gap down. If it does gap down, I'm closing out my buy either way in profit or loss, and I'm going to look for a sell position. Now, the sell position, I'm going to explain in the fundamental reasoning right now. So right now, you guys see the Bank of England, the poundsterlinglive.com, okay? So I want to get to the article that I was reading prior to this. So pound to euro outlook challenge as EU sees serious consequences over triggering of Article 16. So basically, you guys can definitely read this. I'll put the link in my bio to the actual news website that I'm reading this from. But basically, it's explaining the EU is looking for another Brexit showdown with the UK. This is like a freaking movie, guys. It's like watching a series, a television series. You got EU kick Brexit out back circa 2016-ish, back then. Brexit resurfaces a few years later. COVID comes out. England's doing really bad. COVID is not as relevant anymore. Now they're talking about Brexit talks again. You guys see the pattern? There's always something going on, but either way, the news follows the price. It follows the fundamentals regardless. And as we can see, The fundamentals is pointing down, so that's what we're going to aim for, is down. And the last thing I'll explain with GBP's weakness is this. Let's go back to the PBL site. Pound to euro outlook challenge as EU sees serious consequences over triggering Article 16, Brexit returning as an issue. The UK says could trigger Article 16. EU warns against such move. GBP outlook deteriorates as a result. So this is all opinion based still. It's not factual based. So I do believe it's going to move the markets, but not as much. So to the magnitude that I was explaining on the larger time frame, I don't really believe that this news event is going to push price 700 pips down. It could, but I don't believe so. Well, I believe that it may potentially push it to at least 200 to 300 pips, and then we could see some sort of catalyst that comes in that will either drive it further down another 300 pips or pull it back up into a mini range for the next several weeks. So that's my outlook on GU. I want to go on to Euro GBP since it correlates because it's Euro GBP and not GBP USD. So Euro GBP right here, we can see that I have a sell-in. Now the sell got triggered as of Friday. Same thing happened. It's a trap day. So my sell got triggered. There was high impact news and there was non-farm. So I had thought Friday was going to be a great day to day trade the markets, but unfortunately I was wrong. And so price went down. It triggered my sell. And you guys can see I had sell stops and everything set up for a high impact day. I wanted it to get down 85 pips, but unfortunately, price pulled back into a regression of the trend. You guys can see it went down, triggered my sell stop, and then pulled back. So it pulled back, and it is currently break even of that trade. So instead of risking any money, because the day is already over, the weekend happened, and there's going to be a gap in the market and change in sentiment. Let's take a look at the weekly time frame so we can see exactly where that week closed. A minute. I know I have to delete some objects on this, so let me just open a new Euro GBP chart because it's very distracting looking at these lines. All right, so here we go, another Euro GBP chart, and you guys can see what I'm talking about. So on the hourly, let's get back out to the daily. On the daily time frame, we can see that price is shooting up, very bullish. It's a bullish engulfing candle, literally engulfing 1, 2 of the previous weeks, and this is following another bullish engulfing that happened a week prior to all of that, and this is all just leading up to a very, very bullish outbreak. So this momentum, this is what you call momentum right here. You have a structure break, comes out of the value area, pulls back failure with a strong impulsive wave. And then we have a pullback and then another strong impulsive wave following another strong impulsive wave. Now that daily left a wick, the wick must be filled. So I would love to see price continue on up here, break on up and go get some new highs of the week. I do suspect Euro GBP to continue on up. It's going to be a very bullish week for this pair. And if anything, we do see some sort of, I don't know, black swan event, I do suspect price to go down, but I'm not going to look for any short entries until maybe, what's this looking like right there? I'm not looking for any short entries until maybe like 0.85. At that point, I'll probably end up taking the market down about 100 pips, closing out some profits and continuing on its way down. But as of right now, we are looking towards the upside. On the weekly time frame, we can see the week closed very bullish. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 of the previous bars got engulfed just recently. So it's a very bullish week. And look at that, 130 pips. The Euro GBP moves on average about 40 pips a day. So you times that by 5 days a week, that's about 200 pips a week. So it definitely didn't really close the suspected 200 pips. You guys see, 1 second. Normally have the ATR on my charts. Here we go, weekly ATR. So on average, this isn't right. It says 41 pips right there, and then this one says 0.86. So I'm going with the daily. So you guys see what I was talking about. On average, it moves about 41 pips a day on average. So some days it's higher, some days it's lower. So what's that saying for Eurgbp over here? It's saying that it could potentially move up 200 pips any day for the week. So when we do go back out to the weekly, like I said, I have a bull entry already, and my first target would be about 200 pips up, 0.877. That would be target for the week. And if that gets hit, do suspect it to climb up at least another 100 pips before any type of confluence. So this is my target for the week. Stop losses, very easy at this stage in my career. Stop losses can easily, at this point, once I do have an entry triggered, stop losses can be placed below 0.853. So right here. That's going to be a hard stop, long-term stop. So if that stop loss gets hit, I could suspect it to drive to the downside about 50 to 100 pips. Now, last thing I want to break down with you guys before the market opens for the week is the Forex factory calendar. So I can show you all the upcoming volatility for the week. CAD has daylight savings, that's irrelevant. Let's look at it. USD tomorrow, 7:30 p.m. my time, which is about, I believe it's a U.S. session. FOMC member, whatever. There's a speech. There's another speech. There's another speech. There's another speech. So Monday is filled with speeches. Speeches, once again, are opinion-based. They do move the market, but they may not move the market as expected. So do prepare for those. GBP USD, I'm going to be in the pair, and I'm also going to be out of the pair before U.S. session. So by the end of tomorrow, I'll probably close out my position in GU, whatever direction I choose, and then I'll get back into that position after the news release on 9 p.m. my time, GBP USD. Now, as far as Euro GBP, it's a clean day to trade Euro GBP. There is high impact news at 10:30 p.m., which is about, what is this? Apologies, guys. Let me just check this out. I've been switching countries so often I forget the time in New York from where I'm at right now. So it's 9:09 a.m. in New York right now. So yes, it will be U.S. session, GBP USD going down on U.S. session on Monday. I'm calling it right now. We couldn't get any more confluences in this. This is a beautiful setup for the week. And this is why I love day trading, because I can just find out, I can make money like that same day. I don't have to wait until the end of the week like a swing trader. All right, GBP USD. So let's take a look at this based on the news and what I just explained. GU, swing up, sell stops. Stop hunt. Stop run, grabs buyers. Or stop hunt, pulls back, sets up for the news, gets down around here, starts to pull back up when the news happens, and then as soon as GBP USD news happens and US session is negative GBP news, wham, it's going to crash. Calling that out right now, guys. That's it for this video. I'll follow up with you all tomorrow.